About 100,000 years ago, somewhere in a cave in present-day Israel, a group of humans carefully laid a body in a shallow grave. They positioned the limbs deliberately. They placed a deer jawbone in the dead person's hands. And then, for reasons we can only guess, they covered the body in red ochre, painting the skin of the dead the color of blood. They knew this person wasn't coming back. They knew what death was. And whatever they felt about it was powerful enough to make them stop everything and perform a ritual that served no survival purpose whatsoever. The question isn't really whether ancient humans feared death. The question is when that fear first appeared and what it did to us. Most animals don't understand death. A gazelle watches another gazelle get killed by a lion and goes back to eating grass 5 minutes later. It processes the event as danger, not as mortality. It doesn't think, that will happen to me someday. But some animals do seem to grasp something deeper. Elephants return to the bones of dead family members, touching them with their trunks in what primatologist Cynthia Moss described as something approaching morning. Chimpanzees have been documented sitting silently beside dead companions for hours, grooming their lifeless bodies, refusing to eat. So when did our ancestors cross the line from animal grief to existential terror? Neuroscientist Ajit Varki at UC San Diego and biological anthropologist Danny Brower proposed a controversial hypothesis in 2013. They argued that awareness of death, full comprehension that you will die and there is nothing you can do about it, should have been an evolutionary disaster. Any animal smart enough to understand its own mortality would be paralyzed with anxiety. It would stop hunting, stop exploring, stop taking the risks necessary for survival. Natural selection should have eliminated death awareness as soon as it appeared. But it didn't, because something else evolved at the exact same time: denial. Varki and Brower called this the mind-over-reality transition. The moment our ancestors became smart enough to understand death, they simultaneously developed the cognitive ability to suppress that knowledge, to push it to the back of their minds and function as if they were immortal. Every human alive today carries both systems: the awareness that you will die, and the psychological machinery that allows you to eat breakfast anyway. This dual system, terror and denial running simultaneously, may be what made complex civilization possible. Without denial, the fear would have crushed us. Without the fear, we would never have developed religion, art, legacy, or the desperate urgency to make our short lives mean something. The archaeological evidence for death awareness goes back much further than most people realize. The oldest known deliberate burial is at Kafsa Cave in Israel, roughly 100,000 years ago, the one I described at the start. But the practice may be far older. At the Cima de los Huesos site in Atapuerca, Spain, archaeologists led by Juan Luis Arsuaga found the remains of at least 28 individuals from 430,000 years ago, all deposited in a deep underground pit. Among the bones was a single hand axe, beautifully crafted from red quartzite, completely unused. It appeared to have been thrown in with the bodies as an offering. If Neanderthals show even clearer evidence. At Shanidar Cave in Iraqi Kurdistan, Ralph Solecki's famous 1960 excavation found a Neanderthal burial surrounded by clusters of pollen from wildflowers: yarrow, cornflower, hollyhock. The original interpretation was that flowers had been deliberately placed on the grave, though this has been debated. But at other Neanderthal sites, the evidence is harder to dismiss. At La Chapelle aux Saints in France, a Neanderthal was buried in a specially dug pit, positioned in fetal position, with bison bones placed nearby. At Teshiktash in Uzbekistan, a Neanderthal child was surrounded by a ring of mountain goat horns. These aren't random body disposals. These are rituals. And rituals about death exist for only one reason: because death terrifies the living. Psychologist Sheldon Solomon at Skidmore College spent 30 years testing what's called terror management theory. His research showed that when you remind people of their own mortality, even subtly, even unconsciously, their behavior changes dramatically. They become more nationalistic, more religious, more aggressive toward outsiders, more desperate to defend their worldview. The fear of death, Solomon argued, is the hidden engine behind almost everything humans do, from building monuments to starting wars. If that's true for us, it was true for them. Here's the part that transforms everything. Ancient humans didn't just fear death, They fought it. Not physically, but symbolically. They invented ways to defeat it. The red ochre found in burials dating back 100,000 years wasn't decorative. Anthropologist Ian Watts at the University of the Witwatersrand has argued that ochre represented blood, the substance of life. Painting the dead with the color of blood may have been an attempt to restore life, or to prepare the body for some kind of continuation. The dead weren't dead. They were transitioning. By 40,000 years ago, humans were painting elaborate scenes on cave walls. Animals, hunters, abstract symbols, handprints. Many archaeologists now believe that at least some cave art was connected to beliefs about death and the afterlife. The deepest, darkest chambers of caves like Lascaux and Chauvet, places that required crawling through narrow tunnels by torchlight, may have been understood as entrances to an underworld, a place where the boundary between the living and the dead could be crossed. David Lewis Williams, a South African archaeologist, proposed that cave paintings were created during altered states of consciousness, trances induced by sensory deprivation, rhythmic drumming, or psychoactive plants. In those altered states, the rock wall itself may have been perceived as a membrane between worlds. The painted animals weren't representations, they were visions, pulled from the spirit world through the stone. Whether or not you accept that interpretation, the evidence is clear. By at least 40,000 years ago, humans had developed complex symbolic systems to manage their fear of death. They weren't just grieving. They were building mythologies. They were inventing afterlives. They were doing something no other species has ever done, refusing to accept that death is the end. And that refusal changed everything. The pyramids, the cathedrals, the tombs, the relics, the prayers, the philosophical systems, the scientific quest for immortality, all of it traces back to a terrified primate sitting in a cave, looking at a dead companion, and thinking, I don't accept this. Did ancient humans fear death? The evidence says they were consumed by it. From the hand axe thrown into a pit of bones 430,000 years ago, to the ochre-painted burials of 100,000 years ago, to the cave paintings that may have been doorways to the underworld 40,000 years ago, every generation of humans has spent enormous energy trying to answer the same unanswerable question. What happens after this ends? The fear of death is probably the oldest specifically human emotion, the one that separates us most completely from every other animal. Other species feel pain, fear, grief, attachment, and even something like joy. But only humans lie awake at night knowing they will cease to exist. And only humans have responded to that knowledge by building entire civilizations designed, at their deepest level, to say, I was here. I mattered. Remember me. Every gravestone, every memorial, every story passed from parent to child. It all started with that first ancient human who looked at death and refused to look away. What do you think came first, the fear of death or the belief in an afterlife? Did one create the other? Tell me in the comments. And if this made you curious about another ancient emotion, check out our next video on whether ancient humans experienced jealousy.